Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, a podcast that showcases people you may not know who are choosing to use their gifts to inspire and move the planet.
Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, with my guest, Jessica King. I'm so excited for her. I was going to call her Clairvoyant Jessica.
That's what most people call me, Clairvoyant Jess. But yeah, whatever. I've been called worse.
Yes. So I want her to introduce herself, tell the people a little bit about you and what it is that you do.
All right, so I'm a clairvoyant medium. I was actually a natural born clairvoyant medium. I've had that gift since birth, and at least the earliest memory I have is 3, so that I can remember that gift. It has, I guess, morphed into a lot more as I started on it. So I have also transitioned into an intuitive coach, and I do work with trauma healing. So working with people healing trauma from past and present lives, and helping them to rewire their brains so that they can actually be able to take the barriers off of this of the life that they're currently living, and kind of live in a more fulfilling life and be their authentic self, and true to themselves.
Oh wow, that is powerful. So what did you do in your corporate life?
20 plus years of sales.
Okay.
Sales and marketing for the last decade. Dadgummit. Wow, that starts making you feel older. But yeah, for the last 10 to 12 years, I've done marketing of businesses. So met with small to medium-sized businesses and helped them with creating how to make a successful business. And I always enjoyed it, but seems like Stuart just had a different plan. Not once but twice, to drag me down this path on my face.
Yes. So we're gonna go there. So how did you begin to get dragged on your face? How did that come about where you said, okay, I'm gonna be a clairvoyant medium, or did you say
that? Not at first. I was a closet medium for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So is what I at least call it, is a closet medium. For a long time, I would have people that would just bring people to my house, and they would show up at my door, and they would actually say, okay, talk to her, she needs help. And I was like, they would always show up, and I would be able to give them information about, either departed loved ones or whatever it is that I may help them on, and just send them on their way. And Spirit started speaking kind of loudly to me in regards to, I guess, this is your journey and this is your path. And I was like, no, thanks. I'm not interested. I don't want that. Thank you, though. Because it's weird. I was like, that's weird. I don't want to do that. Thank you. I'll stay in the closet, and if they get brought to me, I'll help them. But when I started really to get to that point of surrender is, I'd gone through multiple tragedies in my life, losing my father, and a lot of other just really, really intense tragedies that I was going through at the time. And then I lost my first ever corporate job.
Wow.
I'd never lost a position in my entire, I'm going to say 18 years at that point, in outside sales. And so Spirit went line, and they said, you're about to take this path. They were honest, and I'm a single mom. So I was like, I launched 2 businesses at that point out of necessity. Mm-hmm. Refurbishing furniture, because I love to do refurbishing furniture and just make it look pretty and new and different. And clairvoyant business, and to be honest with you, I didn't know that I could even do it the way that they were trying to tell me that I was going to do it, because I had only really read people drunk on my back porch.
I love it.
And they're like, you're going to go live on Facebook and you're going to read people that you've never met in your entire life and you've never seen, and all they're going to do is tell you, I don't want to talk to my grandfather, and you're never tell them stuff. And I'm like, kind of like one of those what you saw my Willis moments, you know? I was like,
Say what?
you know, Spirit, you are, what? No, I thought I was going to pee my pants the first time I did that. I swear, it was ridiculous. But they had already taken me that far, and I remembered at that point that I was so desperate because I knew I had to make it or break it. It was not a choice. And I remember standing in my backyard, and I literally, it was that day that I hit my knees, and I literally said, with blind and unwavering faith, I will follow you, whatever direction that you take me. I will no longer question.
So that was a powerful surrender moment.
Oh yeah, and it just led me to doing some crazy stuff that my son's like, please don't do that, Mom. I'm like, sorry, already made a promise somewhere else.
Don't they get embarrassed for us so easy? Like, Mommy, please don't do that. Don't tell me.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially when you're at the dentist office and you're like, excuse me, is that your grandfather? Your grandfather's the one that led you to dentistry, right? And they're like, and my son's like, I'm getting my teeth cleaned, Mom. Seriously? Sorry, son.
So I have one other question. Did you have this gift like growing up?
Yes, I've had this. My earliest memory was 3 years old. Of seeing things that other people didn't see. And obviously, with you being from the South, you probably relate with the fact that it's very deep South, very, you know, I was raised in the church, very, very much ingrained in me.
That was my next question.
So it was, you have a very overactive imagination, is what I was told. And I was like, no. And I would start giving like full on descriptions and like really give the details. And then she was like, that is not of God.
So how did you reconcile that piece?
Oh, it really was a hard one for me. That was a hard one for me. I battled that for a long time. And because I really do have that limiting belief in my brain that was true.
Well, it's what we were taught. You know, it's how we were.
It's what we were taught, and you wouldn't mislead me, would you?
Right.
She would. She just didn't know what to say. Is what she said. She actually just didn't know what else to tell me. So that was just her best answer. So I was like, "Thanks, Mom."
See, and now that you're older, you can see that. You know, you're like, they just didn't know. You know?
Didn't know.
They just didn't.
And
they weren't educated about it.
There's a book called Gifts of the Spirit by Derek Prince. If you've never read that one, or anybody that I highly suggest it for people that have gifts that have battled that understanding, because it was very, very powerful to me, because it talks about the misinterpretations of the Bible and how, you know, this, you know, the different gifts that were given. Of course, I've come a long way past, you know, even staying constrained in those, you know, I guess, pigeonholes of those belief systems anymore. But it was a good thing to read and to recognize a lot of the different, even foundational things that were even just being misunderstood and being misconstrued by a certain group of people.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you and I have similar backgrounds in that way, because when I started with coming out of the closet with the gifts.
You come out of the closet.
Coming out of the closet with the gifts, you know. It was like, so you're telling me that because I'm reading it on a card, or like I always say, if you know, when you have these gifts, you don't really need cards, but cards are just fun.
They're fun, yeah.
And so
cool.
you know, I started doing that, and people would say, you know, from the church and stuff, because of course my grandmother was a pastor, preacher, teacher, evangelist, prophetess type, right? And so people would say, oh, you know, that's of the devil, you know, you can't be doing that. That's the devil. I said, but when I was in the church, you people told me I was a prophetess. So how's that different? I'm still.
Well, the way I looked at it was, you know, while I was in the church, I mean, I saw your husband at the strip club one night, so why aren't we talking about anything that's of the devil?
Right.
I mean, you know, you see them doing all kinds of stuff, but then you want to judge me. And I was like, quit placing judgment on anybody because it's not your place. You're not
There you
to
go.
judge me.
There you go. And
So,
it's something I almost want to help people, like refugees from, I call it religion, because my thing is I love God. I love
I
God.
do too.
But
I'm
I'm
actually
not,
ordained at this point.
okay, so I
I'm
was
ordained. Mm-hmm.
so we do have similar. I was like, I remember all that, but it's like, they get so deep into the judgmental space.
Yes.
It's like if it's not, just like you said it, or if I'm not holding $100 lines so people could come up and get a prophecy.
Yes.
If I'm not doing that, then of course it's the devil, whatever it is.
Right. And seeing, it pushed me out of any of that stuff for so long. Where I just ran from it. I was just like, I've ignored so many. And there was a church that was here that actually was the first one that ever connected. And it was so interesting because he sent on a postcard that had two guys sitting on a couch drinking beer, and it said church for the rest of us. And I was like, that's pretty edgy.
It is.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to go just to hear this guy and what he's got to say out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first, I sat down, and he comes into the church, and he's wearing cutoff jeans and flip flops, and he's got the Who playing. And I was like, and then he teaches, his sermon that day was on, if Jesus was alive today, he wouldn't be a Christian.
That's
My mouth about fell open.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all about hypocrisy and judgment and all these things that have broken and divided, these things that are making it to where you're not truly a Christian.
Right.
You're not truly actually even of the right heart, I mean, so it's even from just a fundamental basis of you're not even, giving the heart that we're sent here to do, which is to share and love and to help each other.
Well, and the piece is that Jesus was out among the people. He wasn't in the church,
right.
Trying to do whatever inside the building. He was out among the people trying to help the people.
That's right.
He wasn't with all the people that were in authority and all that stuff. He was out there trying to be real. What he called all of us to do. And this is what I tell them. I said, Jesus was out here among the people, and he was trying to help people. He wasn't trying to help, their doctrine and their dogma and all that stuff. And he was right. I believe the same thing. And I think about that meme. Well, it was a picture at, years ago, but now I think it's a meme where, the guy is sitting up in the balcony of the church, and he's looking, and he's like, I wish I could, go to that church. And Jesus comes up and sits by him and says, yeah, they won't let me in either.
Yeah.
And you think about how real that is, right?
Right. There was a video I saw recently on Facebook, and it was a man that was sitting out in front of a church dressed literally like a bum and was asking for help. He was denied help by every one of the members of that church.
Yes.
And then he literally walked in and stood behind the pulpit, and he says, I'm your new preacher.
Yes, I did. I saw that. Yes.
I was like, y'all eating crow?
Right? Wasn't that deep?
That was deep. He told them to go home and think about themselves. I was like, wow, you just got shamed.
Yeah, because you were doing what you're not supposed to do anyway, judging people.
That's right.
It's a mess. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
I want you to share how you came into the trauma piece. Was that from the traumas and the tragedies that you dealt with? Is that how you got to where?
A lot of it, yes. I guess my I had a Spirit brought me a phrase, and I had to actually end up do a writing on it because Spirit made me do it. But and it was talking about the message that we all vibrate, and the message that we vibrate out into the earth, and how that message that we vibrate into the earth. The way I equated it is it's like our song. And I learned very quickly that I vibrate and have a song that goes out to the broken, the beaten, the lost. And they find me in all kinds of ways. And I have realized that there is such a deep break that people don't know how to heal. They don't know how to let go of the trauma and the pain and the things that they have experienced in life. And I mean, some of them are holding on to it almost like it's a badge of honor.
Yes.
And then you got the others that just are like, I don't know how to. Don't even know the process of letting it go because it's so deep. And then some of it, they don't even recognize what it is they're still holding on to.
Mm-hmm. So you find that people just like they're super glued to their story.
They're super glued to their story. They're tied and married to their pain.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, is like I said, the trauma or the pain is so far back or so deep that they didn't even recognize or even know or have an awareness of where it came from. And a lot of times when I'm doing healing sessions and things like that, and then I bring phrases up or say certain things, and then the mouth open look is always my favorite because that lets me know I just hit them in the gut with something that they had buried and suppressed so deep that they had forgotten.
Yes. Yes.
And
typical.
And it is definitely from a lot of my own trauma and pain, and a lot of self-imposed stupidity. You know, because I was running from this path, I was running from myself, and struggling with so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of burden that comes with this gift.
Wow.
And it's not just burden. And people think, well, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you ever been delivered a message that you said that, you know, this person's going to die and they're going to die and it's your friend's child and there's nothing you can do to stop it, but you can't even tell that person.
Yeah.
That's painful.
Yeah. Somebody actually asked a question like that in one of the Facebook groups I'm in. It was a spiritual group. And the question was, what if you get something for somebody that was bad? I think it was something like, yeah, because she didn't really describe it. She just said, what if you get something for somebody that was bad? And so I wasn't really going to respond to it, but Spirit said, do.
You were meant to respond to it.
I said, you don't always tell them. I said, you have to connect with
Spirit
and ask if that's what you're supposed to do. You know, and I said,
pray for discernment.
Yes, and that's what I said. I said, you know, the thing is, I said, with me, I asked Spirit for that because I'm in empowerment, you know, and so I ask how to share something that might be considered bad. I ask that question, if I'm supposed to share it, you know, first, and then if I get it from them and they say, okay, I want you to, you know, tell them this, whatever, because for me, clairaudience is my strongest gift. I have them all, but clairaudience, and then clairsentient, and all the other ones, but clairaudience, they talk to me, I hear it, you know, like nobody's business. And so I'll ask that. I'll say, you know, how should I tell them this? Sometimes I'm like having an argument, you know, in my head, like, how you would really want me to tell them that? You want me to say that?
Say that?
Right?
Yes.
And they'll say, yeah, and I'm like, okay. And because I'm super blunt, because it's just who I am.
Me too. Yeah.
And you are too. That's why I said we sisters. It's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna tell you this, you know, I hate to tell you this, you know, and I really don't want to tell it to you, but you know, I find that Spirit will give you the words to say, even
yes,
you know, how to temper it down, because you know, you don't want to knock somebody off their chair, you know what I mean?
Not unless I have to.
Right.
Not unless I have to. Yeah, I do not want to. And I mean, some of that information can be so deep and so traumatic for people to I guess, take that it's you don't want it to be where you pretty much just punch them in the face and then you try to hug them afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. So if you had a person come to you and they were okay, say they were experiencing some major trauma, and say maybe their person died, their mama died, you know, something like that. And I'm gonna give you a scenario. So like they had a car crash, their mama died, they survived. How would you help them?
I generally recommend starting with a session for delivering the messages from the departed, so that they can make sure that they can have that piece within itself.
Uh-huh.
But then also discussing with them about how life is designed.
Okay.
You know, and how the of that, and then start to walk with them through that process of, look, I couldn't imagine if that happened, that it was in the car with them and they passed. All I can say is that I know that my father died in my arms, and I know that that was very tragic for me, but it was something that I would have never changed for the world. Mm-hmm. So, but it's understandable. It's something that I can, understand that you've been through that moment. Mm-hmm. They want you to still live, and then I actually will generally encourage them to have that mediumship session. And then I do a healing, and then I encourage them to do healing sessions after, because I think the most powerful and the most resonating thing for them is to give them those messages to answer all those questions that that they can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's not, because especially if they're not in tune, they're not going to be able to say, like, hey, Mom, and they're going to hear her.
Right.
Not like me in the kitchen with my dad, and I'm like, Dad, shut up. I am not making it that way, and somebody will walk in and be like, who are you talking? I'm like, my dad is telling me how to cook dinner. And they're like, all righty.
Okay, all righty then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but then I actually will set up a healing. I know that most people are accustomed or have heard of Reiki. Obviously, Reiki is something that I began with when I was trying to learn healing, because I was giving away all of my energy, and was getting in a very dangerous space because of how much I was giving away. Mm-hmm. And then I took, I've gotten to now 4 different masters in healing, different modalities. And I've morphed those 4 modalities into just one that's my own.
I'm laughing because we are soul sisters, girl, because that's the same way. The same thing. I really think that I pull back from stuff from past lives, from when I was a healer before. Because some stuff I do, I don't know nobody else that does it, And it took me a minute to try to put it together, because I did Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and I just can't remember all the symbols and all that shit.
Was it when you were the voodoo priestess?
Huh?
Was it when you were the voodoo priestess and some of the root work and stuff like that from back then? Is that what you're talking about?
You're giving it to me, aren't you?
I'm just asking a question. Just ask. That's what I'm saying. Because I hear that that's something that you still battle with. So.
You already know. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, honey, don't fear the dark. I tell you, okay? Because without darkness, there is not light. It takes both for us to be able to have balance in our life. There is beauty in voodoo. There is beauty in every single spiritual aspect of everything that is placed on this earth. Just like anything in the wrong hands, it can fall into evil. But you have nothing to be ashamed of from who you were.
Yeah. That was deep. That was powerful. I felt that. Because I don't think I ever really put it into words. I knew that I was a high priestess. I already knew that. And I felt some things from the past. And I knew that I was bringing them into the healing sessions that I do. And I was like, okay. Because I did the Reiki, and I did sacred soul alignment. I did theta healing, because I was attracted to all of that stuff. But it's like none of them were like a complete thing. So I do, some of all of them, in a session. Yeah. And I feel like I'm intuitively guided as I go through with that. And
you are.
And all the people that are coming now.
Yeah, I have someone that I work with that you obviously, I guess, had an affiliation with in your past life. Her name is Marie LeBeau.
So I just listened to a video about her last night or this morning.
Yes.
Yes. And I, how spirit does, just showed up on my YouTube. I wasn't even subscribed to the channel or anything. It just popped up and I started listening and I said, And then I had already heard so many things about all the stories that they told, and all the lies. Let's say lies.
She's a beautiful woman.
Thank you. And so
yeah, I mean, beautiful.
So I had already heard all that. So I was like, okay. And then somebody was talking about how they depicted her on American Horror Story. Did you see that?
She did not like that.
Yeah. I thought that was, wow. But yeah.
She said it was total BS.
All of that. Because it's almost funny how they tried to vilify her, but she was a really caring person.
Very much so. Very loving woman.
Yeah.
Very caring. I mean, she and she really wanted to help the people.
Yes.
And it was with the right intentions and not with any strings of that were not that were not necessary.
Right. Because some stuff is necessary.
There is some stuff that is necessary now, but there are some others that I know of that that are much different than that when it comes to within that realm, and that's okay. I mean, they all have, like I say, their place in this world, and I have no ill regard for them. It's their they had their choices in their past that they had to make those decisions to be on.
Yes. All right, so I'm gonna cut this from recording. I appreciate you for joining me. What I want to do now is I want you to say any last words that you would like to say to anybody that you would like to work with, and then also share details about where they can find you. And then you can also send me that in email, a messenger, or whatever your bio is, so that when we post these things.
Awesome. So if you're lost on your path at any place, whether it be about the gifts and the things and the synchronicities in your life that you don't understand, if you're experiencing a loss or of any type and you don't know how to heal, understand that there is no pain that is too deep that I can't tell you that I can understand at a very deep level. And I look to bring people peace and a healing in a world right now that is being destroyed and torn apart through hatred. And all I'm looking for is to help you to feel whole again. And that's what I want for each person. And I think that it is something that so many people are so lost trying to find. And I will do it without judgment because it's not my place. So they can find me at clairvoyantjess.com. I am actually accredited through the Best Psychic Network and do have multiple different, certifications for what I do. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Clairvoyant Jess. So awesome. I'm just a little bit everywhere.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. This has been so eye-opening. It's been an amazing interview. I always say this. And I say it about every interview. I say, this was so awesome and this was so amazing. But you know what? I actually mean that. That was awesome and amazing. And I learned something from each and every person that I interview. I'm a learner. I like to learn.
That's what we're all here to, learn and help each other so that we can grow.
Yes, exactly. So if you are experiencing any type of trauma, or even if you would like to connect with a departed loved one, make sure you reach out to Clairvoyant Jess, because she is the most amazing at what she does, She's able to help people to cross over into a life that maybe they are having issues and trouble, into a life that they are leading that fulfills them, that makes them satisfied, happy, whole, and healthy. So again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me straight out of Savannah, talking with Tammi, with my guest, Clairvoyant Jess. And this has been so much fun. I have learned so much, and you will as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye now.
I know you've been blown away with the amazing value here today. Now go out and inspire the planet. And be sure to send us a message when you're ready to come talk about it on Straight Outta Savannah, Talking with Tammi.